Naomi and Tim, it is so wonderful to meet you both.
Oh,
Hi.
wonderful to meet
Congratulations
you.
on the power.
Hi, thank you.
So, Naomi, my first question is for you. I want to know what it's been like for you to see your book come to life, and if there was any moment in particular that really struck, like the reality of that struck for you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, God, there have been so many. I think it's been extraordinary. Is the answer? It has been a huge honor and a privilege, and I have been so overwhelmed, particularly by the support of the fantastic team here and. With Sister Pictures and with Amazon Prime, who didn't have to show it the level of commitment that they did to do reshoots after a global pandemic was extraordinary. They have really believed in and loved the show. So I'm thinking about specific moments when things came to life. My God, going to, I think it was the Suffolk coast and walking into a convent that I had previously imagined in my mind. That is, I've said before, it's like a sort of good kind of psychotic break where you're just like, oh, yeah, I imagined this and now I'm standing in it. That feels weird. Okay. But it was wonderful, really wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would be like, and it must be so surreal, but also so validating that your creation has come to life in this way.
Right.
One of the things I appreciate is the way that the series sort of expands on some of the themes, particularly around the inclusion. Well, there was the inclusion of the intersex character, and it's a little expanded on, as well as with the inclusion of a trans character. Tim, what I appreciated is that this reckons more with ideas around the difference between sex and gender. Was that something that was important when you guys were developing the series to include? And what do you hope to explore with that?
Absolutely. I mean, the show is about power in its essence and seen through a gender lens initially. But, gender is not as black and white as, this is an ongoing discussion in the world. And I think the show adds to that discussion in a sort of positive way. I'm really, Daniela Vega, gives a fantastic performance as Sister Maria. She's a wonderful, wonderful actress. And Nico Haraga is wonderful as Ryan. He's, super, super cool guy. So no, I'm really proud of the show that it, adds something positive to an ongoing global discussion that, sort of is sort of putting down the boundaries of whatever the black and white, historical perceptions of gender politics.
Right. I mean, I would say I'm a trans-inclusive feminist. These questions are important to me. And, it's a novel and a show that is trying to talk about the variety of experience around gender and around sex in the world. And trans people are real. So let's have some real things in the show. Let's talk about different cultures, different continents, different experiences of sex and gender, and, get into it all. Just why not? I'm nothing if not ambitious.
Yeah.
I mean, that is very clear, and I'm so grateful for it. And I think that the book, as well as the series, which, by the way, I loved the book as well, really kind of force you to ask some really important questions about society that, like, I think are invisible, if not gender flipped. Like, they come to the fore in a way that's really interesting. So, well, I don't think TV has to be prescriptive. The show is so socially focused. I'm curious for both of you what you hope audiences will take away from seeing these dynamics play out in this way.
Right. So for me, first of all, I hope that we can show the audience a bloody good time. So, we've got a gangster story in there. We've got a political thriller. We've got a investigative journalism story. We've got a story about the rise of, little bit of a spoiler, a cult leader. We've got an Eastern European dictator, and all of these things, I hope that the audiences have a really exciting time. They're thrilled. They just can't stop watching it. It's incredibly propulsive. I can't stop watching it, and I blooming wrote it. And at the end, come out going, oh, I seem to have thought some really big thoughts. So there are questions about, I would say, I don't feel like it's my job to have all the answers. It is weird for anybody really, particularly me, to pretend that you have all the answers, but I certainly do have some good questions. So I would like people to be having conversations about, what is sex and gender? Why do we think that men and women are different in these ways? How culturally constructed is that? What would it be like if we just flip that around in our minds? Would we suddenly find different things within ourselves, given that we all contain multitudes? What is power? How does it work in the world? How does power accumulate around particular people? Are we satisfied with how that is happening right now? Or do we think it could be done better, differently? So I hope to start a million conversations, some of them with people who disagree with me. I'm up for it all.
I love it. How about you, Tim? What would you like to see audiences come away from the experience of watching this? And like, what do you hope they're thinking about as they go through the series?
Well, I mean, obviously there are some correlations in the real world with various aspects of our story. You know?
Just one or two.
And, you know, with urban docks, with the sort of the riots in episode 4, which is an incredible episode, you know, what's happened in Iran. So I think, you know, we've taken everybody on a great ride. We've gone around the world. But exactly like Naomi said, at the end of it, you think, hang on, this is talking about things that is happening now all over the world, and just to be able to engage with those issues and think about them and spark conversations about them is, you know, all we can hope to do as filmmakers, really.
I do like the use of spark conversations.
There you go. See?